I grew up in northern Minnesota, where winter ruled everything. By November, the river froze solid, a white ribbon cutting through town. As kids, we treated it like a playground, skating, sledding, sometimes testing how far out we could walk before hearing the ice groan beneath our boots. Adults always warned us, respect the river, it takes what it wants. But warnings are hard to hear when you're young and bulletproof. My brother Danny was 2 years younger. I was 14 the year it happened, he was 12, all limbs and laughter. We fought like brothers do, but he was my shadow. Wherever I went, he followed, sometimes annoying, sometimes comforting. That winter was colder than usual, the kind of cold that cracked wood and made breath freeze in your scarf. The river looked like solid glass. It was late January when Danny begged me to go skating. I wanted to stay home, play video games, but he insisted. Come on, Mike. The ice is perfect. We laced up our battered skates and trudged down to the river with our breath fogging the night air. At first, it was perfect. The ice was smooth, moonlight glinting off the surface. We raced each other, spun clumsily, laughed so hard we fell down. For a while, it felt like the world was ours. Then Danny skated farther out, toward the center where the current always ran stronger beneath. I shouted at him to come back. He waved, grinning, and said, "Don't be such a dad, Mike." Seconds later, the ice beneath him cracked with a sound like gunfire. He plunged into black water. His scream cut through the night. I skated toward him, heart hammering. "Danny!" I yelled, dropping to my knees, reaching for his flailing arms. His gloves were soaked, slippery. I grabbed once, twice, but the current yanked him down. I screamed for help though no one was near. I lay on my stomach, spreading my weight, arms reaching into the hole, but the cold bit my skin, numbed my hands. Danny's face surfaced once, eyes wide with terror. "Mike!" he gasped. Then he was gone. The silence after was unbearable, just the gurgle of water beneath ice. I pounded the frozen edge until my knuckles bled, sobbing into the night. When I finally stumbled home, half frozen, I could barely form words. My parents rushed past me when they realized Danny wasn't with me. Neighbors joined, flashlights scanning the ice. By dawn, divers found his body a quarter-mile downstream. I remember the sound my mother made when they pulled him out. Half scream, half wail, the kind of sound that never leaves your bones. That was the night childhood ended for me. After the funeral, nothing felt the same. Our house was quiet, heavy with absence. My mother drifted through rooms like a ghost. My father worked longer shifts, as if exhaustion might keep grief at bay. And me? I carried guilt like an anchor. Everyone said it wasn't my fault. "Accidents happen," the pastor whispered. "You did what you could," neighbors said. But I knew the truth. I should have stopped him. I should have dragged him off the ice. I should have been the big brother he needed, not the one who watched him slip under. At school, kids stared but didn't speak. Teachers offered extra time on assignments, but their pity felt suffocating. I avoided friends, avoided the river, avoided mirrors. Whenever I saw my own reflection, I saw his face in the water. Nights were worst. I'd hear his scream in dreams, wake sweating, throat raw from shouting his name. Sometimes I thought I heard him calling from the river, whispering through the ice. My parents rarely spoke about it. Mom shut herself in her room. Dad buried himself in work. We were 3 separate islands, floating in silence. Once, I overheard Mom telling Dad, "Mike should have been watching him." My stomach twisted. I already knew, but hearing it out loud confirmed the verdict. Guilty. I started skipping school, wandering town with my hood pulled low. I smoked cigarettes behind the gas station, tried drinking from a bottle a friend stole from his dad. Nothing dulled the guilt. Nothing made Danny's voice stop echoing in my skull. On the anniversary of his death, I stood by the frozen river alone. Snow fell quietly, covering the scar where he'd gone under. I whispered, "I'm sorry," but the ice didn't answer. I wanted to jump in, to feel the same water, to disappear where he did. But something held me back. Maybe fear. Maybe the faint hope that life might mean more than punishment. Still, the weight of blame bent me low. and it would take years before I learned how to stand beneath it. By the time I was 17, I was a mess. Angry, failing classes, picking fights. Teachers said I was wasting my potential. They didn't know how much energy it took just to breathe with guilt sitting on my chest. One night after a fight with Dad, I stormed out, fists aching from punching walls. I ended up at the river again, staring at the dark water flowing beneath thin ice. I thought about stepping in, letting it take me like it took Danny. But then I heard a voice. Rachel, a girl from school who'd followed me. She sat down beside me in the snow. "You're not him," she said softly. "You don't have to die with him." Her words cracked something open. For the first time, I considered that maybe carrying Danny's death forever didn't mean I had to end my own life. With her encouragement, I agreed to therapy. At first, I sat in silence, arms crossed. But eventually, words spilled out. The crack of ice, Danny's scream, the silence after. The therapist didn't flinch. She said, "You were a child too. You deserved protection, not punishment." It took months, years even, but I began to believe I wasn't only the villain in Danny's story. I started to picture him laughing, skating instead of drowning. I graduated late, barely, but Rachel was there cheering. She became my anchor, reminding me that I wasn't defined by one night. Still, scars remained. Whenever winter came, I avoided rivers. Whenever kids played on ice, I shouted warnings. I became the overprotective one, the worrier. People teased, but they didn't know the cost of ignoring danger. Slowly, I rebuilt. College wasn't an option, but I found work in construction. Swinging a hammer, sweating through summer heat. It felt like penance and progress at once. Now I'm 36, married to Rachel, father to 2 kids who have never once set foot on ice without my watchful eyes. Every winter, I hear Danny's laugh in the crunch of snow, see his grin in my son's face. I still carry guilt, but it no longer crushes me. Therapy, time, and love taught me to shift its weight. It's part of me, but not all of me. Sometimes I take my kids to the riverbank. Not on the ice, but close enough to tell the story. I kneel down, point at the frozen water, and say, "This river took your Uncle Danny. He was 12, just a boy. Couldn't save him. But I can protect you." They listen wide-eyed, and I pray the fear I plant will keep them safe. On the anniversary of his death, I stand at the river alone. I whisper, "I'm still sorry, but I'm still here." And I swear sometimes I feel a kind of peace, like Danny forgives me. Maybe it's my mind, maybe it's God, maybe it's just the river whispering back. Life goes on, scarred and messy. I swing hammers, pack lunches, argue with Rachel about bills, cheer at Caleb's baseball games. I live, and living, I've learned, is the one way to honor the dead. Danny's story ended that winter night. Mine didn't, and the only way to make sense of that is to keep walking, keep loving, keep teaching my kids to respect the river but not let fear drown them. The river took my brother, but it didn't take me, and that, I've learned, is both a burden and a gift.